When you think of C.S. Lewis, you probably think of the Chronicles of Narnia. But C.S. Lewis also wrote many books on Christian apologetics. The most notable, I think, would be Mere Christianity. And there's a certain thing Lewis says in Mere Christianity that I think is really useful for us today. If I had to pick one argument for God that I think is the most relevant and most important argument, it would be the moral argument. C.S. Lewis said about his conversion, "My argument against the existence of God was that the universe seemed so cruel and unjust. But where did I got this idea of just and unjust? One does not call a line crooked unless he has some idea of what a straight line looks like. Where had I gotten this idea of just and unjust?" Lewis here is saying something really important. He's actually saying that the reason he became a theist in the first place was because of morality itself. Which is interesting, given that one of the main reasons that people are not Christians in the world is because they're worried about the evils of the world and the implications they have on the existence of God. You may hear, if God, why evil? But actually what Lewis is saying is that if evil, then God. Because evil proves that there's a standard outside of you and I that says that God must exist. So as Frank Turek would say, they are stealing from God to make an argument against him when they say, if God, why evil? And now this got Lewis to being a theist. It didn't get him to be a full-on Christian. It just made him believe there had to be a standard, which he called the line, outside of you and I. I want to ask you this question. Think of some really controversial hot-button issue we have today. I don't care what it is, just some issue. I'm guessing it's either a moral issue or an issue about rights, one of the two. So our biggest problems in the world today revolve around morality and rights. But morality and rights can't exist unless God exists, because otherwise it's just your opinion against mine. One of the most vivid examples you can use would be the Hitler example. I've gotten people joke around like, why does Payton use Hitler all the time? Well, Hitler is like the embodiment of an evil person, right? That's what we use as an example because everybody agrees that Hitler is evil. But what makes Hitler wrong and me right? Or what makes Hitler wrong and you right if there's no standard outside of the two of us? That's why we need God. We need God as a standard outside of you and I that tells us we do have rights. We do have morality. In fact, when the United States was founded, it was very clear that the founding fathers believed that the rights don't come from the government, but they come from God because God gives us rights. And God gives us morality too. He tells us what is right and wrong through the Bible and through what is written on our own hearts. And we all feel that. That's one of the most compelling arguments I've ever experienced for God, was that I know on my heart what is right and wrong, and the Bible reflects that, and it explains it perfectly. So the Bible explains morality in a way that many other worldviews cannot. So I challenge you today, think about the issues in the world today and ask yourself, what best explains them, God or atheism?